March 26th in history. In 1027, the powerful Franconian Duke Conrad II journeyed to Rome, seeking the ultimate symbol of authority over medieval Europe. Pope John XIX placed the imperial crown upon Conrad's head inside St. Peter's Basilica, founding the mighty Salian dynasty. The Salian dynasty would rule for over a century, reshaping the balance of power between popes and emperors across medieval Europe. In 1169, Cairo stood as the jewel of the Fatimid Caliphate, but its power was fading. A young Kurdish commander named Saladin arrived, ambitious and ready to seize destiny. When his uncle Shirkuh suddenly died, Saladin was proclaimed vizier of Egypt. At just 31, he now controlled the wealthiest kingdom in the Islamic world. Saladin would unite Egypt and Syria, found the Ayyubid dynasty, and recapture Jerusalem. His chivalry and leadership made him a legend respected across civilizations. In 1351, during the Hundred Years' War, 30 Breton knights challenged 30 English combatants to a trial by arms in the forests of Brittany. Near the Great Oak of Mivois, the two sides clashed in brutal hand-to-hand combat. The Bretons, bloodied but relentless, fought until the English side was defeated. The combat of the 30 became a legendary symbol of chivalric honor. Poets and chroniclers celebrated it for centuries as the pinnacle of medieval knightly valor. In 1827, Vienna was the heart of European music. Ludwig van Beethoven, the titan of classical composition, lay gravely ill in his modest apartment. On March 26th, as a violent thunderstorm shook Vienna, Beethoven raised his fist to the sky one final time, then was gone forever. Though deaf for his final decade, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony and late quartets remain humanity's greatest musical achievements, inspiring millions across centuries. In 1872, the small frontier town of Lone Pine sat beneath the towering Sierra Nevada in California's remote Owens Valley. On March 26th, a massive earthquake tore through the valley, collapsing nearly every building in Lone Pine and killing 27 people. The quake left a visible fault scarp stretching for miles, becoming one of the most studied seismic events in American history. In 1917, British forces marched across the Sinai Desert toward Ottoman-held Gaza, a strategic gateway to Palestine and the road to Jerusalem. British troops breached Gaza's defenses, but confused orders triggered a premature withdrawal, handing the Ottomans an unexpected victory. The failed assault delayed Britain's advance by months, but ultimately fueled the campaign that captured Jerusalem later that year. In 1945, American forces stormed the volcanic island of Iwo Jima, a tiny speck in the Pacific fiercely defended by 21,000 entrenched Japanese soldiers. After 36 days of brutal combat through tunnels and fortified bunkers, the last organized Japanese resistance was finally eliminated on March 26. Nearly 7,000 Americans and virtually all Japanese defenders perished, making Iwo Jima one of the Pacific War's bloodiest battles and a lasting symbol of sacrifice. In 1953, polio terrorized America. Children filled hospital wards, iron lungs lined hallways, and parents lived in constant fear each summer. Dr. Jonas Salk announced his vaccine had been successfully tested, offering the first real hope of defeating the paralyzing virus. Salk's vaccine nearly eradicated polio worldwide. He refused to patent it, gifting humanity one of medicine's greatest triumphs. In 1971, tensions between East and West Pakistan reached a breaking point after years of political oppression and cultural suppression of the Bengali people. On March 26, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman declared Bangladesh independent, igniting a brutal 9-month liberation war against the Pakistani military. After immense suffering and Indian military intervention, Bangladesh emerged as a sovereign nation, now home to over 170 million people. In 1979, after decades of war between Egypt and Israel, President Jimmy Carter brokered an unprecedented peace at the White House. Egyptian President Anwar Sadat and Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin signed the first-ever peace treaty between Israel and an Arab nation. The treaty ended 30 years of conflict, returned the Sinai Peninsula to Egypt, and reshaped Middle Eastern diplomacy forever. In 2000, Russia stood at a crossroads. Boris Yeltsin had suddenly resigned, leaving his hand-picked successor, a former intelligence officer, as acting president. On March 26, Vladimir Putin won the presidential election with 53% of the vote, securing power in the first round. Putin's election began one of the longest-running leaderships in modern history, fundamentally reshaping Russia's politics and its role on the world stage. In 2024, Baltimore's Francis Scott Key Bridge stood as a vital artery over the Patapsco River, carrying thousands of vehicles daily above one of America's busiest ports. In the early hours of March 26, the container ship Dali lost power and slammed into a support column, sending the entire bridge crashing into the river, killing 6 workers. The collapse shut down Baltimore's port for months, disrupted supply chains nationwide, and sparked urgent calls to inspect and protect aging bridges across the country.